Have you ever done that thing where you put on a lo-fi playlist and then suddenly the whole world just kind of melts away? You're completely in the zone, the work is just flowing. Well, today, we're going to dive into the actual science of how that happens. Right? It's the big question. Millions of us are asking this every single day while we're studying or coding or just trying to power through a mountain of emails. So why does this specific kind of music work so darn well? The answer, it turns out, isn't just about your mood. It's pure neuroscience. So let's start with this idea, the rhythm of focus. Because that feeling of instant clarity you get, it's not just you imagining it. It is a real, measurable thing happening inside your brain. Now, this might sound a little poetic, I get it, but it's actually a peek into a real neurological process. Your brainwaves, the electrical pulses in your brain, literally start to synchronize with the beat of the music. And that alignment, it has a direct, powerful impact on your ability to concentrate and think creatively. Okay, so how exactly does your brain get on the beat? To really get that, we need to look at the core science of how our brains physically react to sound. And believe it or not, it all comes down to one key concept. And that concept is called entrainment. Basically, it's your brain's natural, almost automatic tendency to sync up its own internal rhythms, your brainwaves, with the sounds you're hearing. Think about that for a second. Your brain doesn't just hear the beat. In a way, it starts to become the beat. The easiest way to picture this is to think of it like a metronome for your mind. You know, just like how a metronome keeps a musician perfectly on tempo, a steady, predictable beat can take all that chaotic chatter in your head and guide it into a focused, stable rhythm. It creates the perfect mental environment for deep work. So what kind of rhythm are we actually aiming for here? Well, we're trying to get our brains into two key states. First, there's the alpha state. That's for calm, alert focus, perfect for when you're absorbing information. Then you have the theta state, which is for that deeper, creative, problem-solving kind of work. And guess what? Lo-fi's slow, steady beat is basically engineered to gently nudge your brain into these super productive zones. So, we know the how. It's this thing called entrainment. But what is it about lo-fi music specifically that makes it so ridiculously effective? What are the special ingredients in this magic formula for focus? It really comes down to a few key things. You've got the consistent rhythm, which acts as that mental metronome we just talked about. The fact that there are no lyrics is absolutely critical because your brain isn't getting distracted trying to process language. And you know those soft imperfections, like a little vinyl crackle? They add just enough texture to keep your brain engaged without ever being jarring. It's the perfect recipe to prevent overstimulation. All right, now let's go even deeper. We're going to move from brain waves to brain chemistry. See, the effect of lo-fi isn't just mechanical. It also triggers the release of really important neurotransmitters that regulate our mood and, you guessed it, our ability to concentrate. Specifically, we are talking about dopamine. Listening to this type of predictable, pleasant music actually helps balance your brain's dopamine levels. And this is huge because it actively reduces feelings of anxiety and stress. It creates a calm, stable mental state that is just essential for clear thinking and deep focus. I mean, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you have the typical distracted mind. Your thoughts are racing, anxiety's high, you get pulled away by everything. But then you put on some lo-fi and you get calm thoughts, balanced focus, and that incredible feeling of effortless flow. It's a pretty remarkable transformation. And look, this isn't some niche life hack or a weird laboratory finding. This is practical neuroscience being put into action every single day. From students pulling all-nighters, to coders trying to solve complex problems, to artists looking for that spark of inspiration, people all over the world are using this to be more productive and creative. So, we've covered the theory, we've covered the science. Now it is time to put it all into practice. I want to invite you to try this for yourself with a really simple, straightforward challenge. All it takes is 1 hour, 60 minutes. That's it. It's just enough time for you to really experience that shift in your mental state and see for yourself how your focus and your workflow improve. And the steps could not be easier. Step 1, pick any lo-fi playlist you like. Step 2, start a timer for 60 minutes and just begin your task. But the most important part is step 3, just pay attention. Notice how your mind starts to settle, how those little distractions just fade into the background, and how you ease into that amazing state of flow. It really is that simple. So you can think of this as your new mantra for productivity. Tune in, and you'll find it so much easier to zone in on what actually matters.
And that brings us to a really important final thought. We often think that to focus, we need perfect, absolute silence, but the science shows that's just not always true. Sometimes what our brain is really craving is the right kind of sound. So the real question is, what's the right rhythm for your mind? Thanks for listening.